Data link layer. So in this lecture series, we will be discussing about what is data link layer and what are the different functionalities provided by the data link layer. Okay, now let us start. The data link layer uses the services of the physical layer, right? So we have already discussed in the introduction to ISO OSI model that the physical layer services are being used by the data link layer. So wherein this data link layer uses the service of physical layer to send and receive the bits over the communication channel. So the data link layer have some functions, so which includes the following. The first one is physical addressing, that is MAC, medium access control or physical addressing mechanism. The second one is framing. The third functionality is flow control, and the fourth functionality is error control, and the fifth functionality is media access control. Okay, so these are all the different functionalities which are provided by the data link layer. So in order to accomplish these goals, the data link layer is going to take the packets from the network layer and it encapsulates these packets into frames. So if you see here, each frame contains a frame header and it consists of a payload field, which is nothing but the original data of this particular data link layer, and it is going to have a trailer. So the frame header contains the physical address of the next receiving node. As already we have discussed this in the example of data link layer in the ISO OSI model of how the header is going to contain the physical address of the next node, and we also discussed that the data link layer is responsible for hop to hop delivery or node to node delivery. So now we shall discuss one of the main functionalities of the data link layer, error detection and correction. Networks must be able to transfer the data from one device to another device with acceptable accuracy. That is, if there is no acceptable accuracy, the receiving system cannot process the data correctly, right? So if the sender sends one kind of information and the receiver receives another kind of information, so it is not usable by the receiver, right? So for most of the applications, a system must guarantee that the data received is identical to the data transmitted. So when the data is being transmitted in the transmission medium, there is a chance for the data to be corrupted during the transmission. And there are many factors which can alter one or more bits of the message. So some application requires that the errors when we are transmitting data from one place to, that is from sender to receiver, we told that there will be errors. So those applications require the errors to be detected and corrected. So let us see some examples. If we are sending some audio or video data, or if we are sending audio or video transmission, so random errors in audio or video transmission is tolerable. But if we are sending some text, so we cannot accept the change in text, right? So if I am going to send you hello, HELLO, so if it is received as what, 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 then it is no meaning that we are sending hello and we are receiving what. So at this moment of time, a very high level of accuracy in data transfer is needed. So finally what I wanted to say is that when data is being transmitted from sender to receiver, there will be some errors. So now the aim of this data link layer is to detect and correct the errors. So let us first see what are the different types of errors before going for the discussion of error detection and correction. So there are mainly two types of errors. The first one is single bit error and the second one is burst error. So in single bit error, only one bit in the data unit will be changed. So this is the information which is sent by the sender, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1 and 0. So now the receiver has received the data. If you see, this 0 bit has been changed to 1 bit, right? So whenever there is only change in 1 bit of information when it is sent from the sender and it is received by the receiver, then this type of error is called a single bit error. The second type of error is called burst error. So burst error means that when sender is sending the information, the receiver receives the information with two or more bits in the data unit being changed. So if you see here, the sender is sending this information. Let us take the length of 8 bits, that is 0 0 1 0 0 0 1 0. So in this particular data unit, what happened? This 0 is converted to 1, this 0 is converted to 1, this 0 is converted to 1, and this 0 is converted to 1. So these are the bits, that is this bit, this bit, this bit and this bit are corrupted bits, that is these are more than 2, right? 2 or more than 2 bits have been corrupted in the transmission or during the data transmission. So this kind of error is called a burst error. So the next basic term we will see is redundancy. So the central concept in detecting or correcting errors is redundancy. So redundancy is nothing but adding some extra bits to the original data. That is either to detect or correct the errors. What we will do is we will be adding extra information to the original data bits. So this is nothing but is called as redundancy, as we will see shortly in the lecture. The next one is detection versus correction. So in error detection, we will be looking only to check whether if any error has occurred or not. So here the question is there any error in the data transmission? The answer is simple, yes or no. That is, if there is error, we will say yes. If there is no error, we will say no. But when coming to the error correction, we will say if there is error, we will say that how many exact number of bits are corrupted and what is the location of those bits in the message. So let us say we are sending this information 0 1 0 0 0 1 0 0. So if it is being sent from the sender to the receiver, now in the error detection what we will say, we will simply say that whether the error is there in the transmission or not. But in error correction, not only by saying whether error is there or not, we also tell that how many number of bits have been corrupted and what is the exact location of those bits in the received message. So this we will be looking after in error detection and error correction. So the next basic concept is forward error correction versus retransmission. These two methods are the methods for error correction. So in forward error correction method or FEC, what the receiver is going to do is the receiver tries to guess the message by using the redundant bits. And the second kind of method is called retransmission. So in this method, what does the receiver do? The receiver detects the occurrence of an error, and now when it detects an error, it asks the sender to resend the message. So this is the difference between the forward error correction and retransmission. So in retransmission, what happens? Until the receiver detects that there are no errors in the received message, it will be asking again and again the sender to retransmit the message. Next one is coding. So redundancy is achieved through various coding schemes. We already told that the central concept in detecting or correcting the errors is redundancy. So now we must have a way to introduce the concept of redundancy in our original message, right? So now we will be doing this with the help of coding. So the basic block diagram of how this coding will be done is, let us say this is the sender, we have the original message. So now there is a generator function which generates redundancy by using some or the other algorithm. We will be seeing what different kinds of algorithms we are going to use for generating the redundancy. So the original message will be given to the generator. Now the generator will generate the redundant bits, and now finally the original message and the redundant bits, that is original message bits and redundant message bits, will be grouped into a single message. Now when it is transmitted through the unreliable data transmission, so now again the receiver is going to receive the information. So whenever the receiver receives the information, what does the checker do? The checker function is going to check whether the received information is correct or not. If the information received is correct, then it will deliver this message to the receiver. When the received information is not correct, then the checker is going to discard the message, that is it will not send the message to the receiver. Okay, so this portion is called encoder portion and this portion is called decoder portion. So now we have two different types of techniques. The first one is block coding techniques and the second one is convolution coding techniques. So next important basic we have to learn is modular arithmetic. So in modular arithmetic, we will be using only a limited range of integers. Here we will be using an upper limit called modulus n. When we are saying that we are using a modulus n, then we will be using only the integers in the range 0 to n minus 1 inclusive. So when we are using the integers 0 to n minus 1 inclusive, then this arithmetic is called modulo n arithmetic. Let us say, for example, if we are using modulus 12. So what is the range of integers we are allowed to? 0 to n minus 1 means 0 to 12 minus 1, that is 0 to 11. So we use only the integer 0 to 11 inclusive, that is from 0 to 11 we are going to use all these numbers if we are going to use the modulus 12 arithmetic. So doing addition and subtraction in this modular arithmetic is very simple. So we do not have any carry when we are adding two digits in a column, or we do not have any carry when we are subtracting one digit from another digit in a column. So now let us see how we are going to perform this addition and subtraction using modular arithmetic. So in addition, 0 plus 0 is 0, 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 0 is 1, 1 plus 1 is also 0. So we told that there is no carry when we are adding two digits, right? Actually 1 plus 1, our binary addition will be giving a 0 and carry 1, but here we will be having 1 plus 1 is 0. And subtraction, 0 minus 0 is 0, 0 minus 1 is 1, 1 minus 0 is 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0. Okay, so now let us see some more extension of this modulo arithmetic. So let us say that we are using modulo 2 arithmetic. So when we are using modulo 2 arithmetic, we can use how many number of numbers? Only 0 to 2 minus 1, that is 0 to 1. 0 to 1 means only 0 and 1. So when modulus n is 2, we can use only 0 and 1. So according to this one, we are going to do all the computations like this. 0 XOR 0 is 0, 1 XOR 1 is 0, which is nothing but when we are doing XOR operation, when two bits are same, when two input bits are same, the output is always 0. So here also two input bits are same, that is 1 and 1, the output is 0. When two bits are different, the result is 1, that is 0 XOR 1 is 1, and 1 XOR 0 is also 1. So finally we will be doing the XOR operation here. So input bits are same, 0, input bits are different, output is 1, input bits same, 0, different, 1, input bits are same and 0. So this is how we are going to do the modular arithmetic. So these are all the concepts which are basic for error detection and correction. So in the next lecture, we will be going into the actual discussion of error detection and correction. Thank you.